President Obama called on Congress Monday to bring gun control reform legislation to a vote. Mr. Obama traveled to Connecticut, where the Sandy Hook Elementary School massacre took place. A gunman there killed 20 children and 6 adults. The president promised family members of the victims that he's, quote, determined as ever to pass legislation that strengthens gun control while also protecting Second Amendment rights.
We can pass common sense laws that protect our kids and protect our rights. So Connecticut's shown the way. And now is the time for Congress to do the same.
Afterward, 11 family members of those killed at Sandy Hook flew with the president back to the nation's capital. Later today, they'll head to Capitol Hill and lobby lawmakers who are reluctant to pass sweeping gun control legislation. Joining us this morning to talk a little bit about the latest on this topic from Washington is CBS News Senior Producer for Politics, Caroline Horn. Thanks for joining us this morning, Caroline.
Good morning, Anne-Marie.
So the president speaks again. He spoke in Colorado last week, and for the second time in a week, he's delivering a speech in this time in Connecticut. Yesterday, did we hear anything different from him?
Well, he certainly spoke with the same passion with which he's been using when he's been talking about gun control since the massacre in Newtown took place 4 months ago. But what's been different recently is the specifics of what he's calling for. Gone are some of those sweeping proposals, such as the assault weapons ban that he put out in the immediate aftermath of the shooting. Now what he's really focused on is making sure that legislation actually makes it to the floor of the Senate and gets an up or down vote.
And we've seen President Obama do this before, take his argument to the people in the hope that they will then influence lawmakers in Washington. Is it working?
So far, it does not seem to be having a huge amount of sway over the Republicans in the Senate, who are really going to be crucial to whether or not this legislation moves forward. He's putting a little bit more political pressure on them now. His political arm announced yesterday, that's Organizing for Action, announced yesterday that they are going to be targeting certain Republican senators and even one Democratic senator in a series of online ads demanding that they allow a vote on gun legislation.
You know, when the Sandy Hook massacre occurred, it was a very emotional time for the nation. And many people thought that this, of all the massacres, this with children would be sort of the tipping point to push gun control reform forward. Am I wrong in feeling like the momentum is sort of slowing now?
I don't think you're wrong. Certainly on Capitol Hill, with every passing week, it seems like the bill and the things that would be possible to get passed in that bill get smaller and smaller. But that's in some ways where the Newtown families come in. They're going to be in Washington for the next few days meeting with these senators. And basically what they're going to be saying is, look us in the eye. We are the victims of this tragedy. It feels like it just happened to us yesterday. And tell us that you're not going to allow this to come to a vote.
Right. Caroline, Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid brought gun control legislation to the floor of the Senate on Monday. What's in that bill?
Well, that is the legislation that was put out there right before the 2-week spring break recess that the Senate just took. And what that legislation has in it is universal background checks. And Senate Republicans have not agreed to that. And that is at the heart of what this group of Senate Republicans have said they are going to try to block.
Indeed, and what 13 conservative Republican senators have done, as well as Mitch McConnell has said that they will block debate, not just the vote, but they don't even want to debate. Is this going to work?
It very well could. You had 13 senators send a letter to Harry Reid, led by Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky, saying that they would block debate on any piece of legislation that they felt infringed on the Second Amendment. And what this shows you is that despite the pressure from the White House and all of the public events by President Obama, that Senate Republicans are still committed to gun rights. And that is why this legislation has been so slow going.
All right, Caroline Horn, CBS News Senior Producer for Politics. Thanks for joining us again this morning.
Thanks, Anne-Marie.